This show is brought to you by our friends at bayphoto.com. Head over after the show to print something amazing. Be sure to check out their specials at bayphoto.com/specials.
Ooh, a camera. Okay, friends, let's talk a little something. Let's talk a little something about camera settings. What do you do with all those buttons on the camera? How does it work? Oh my God, it is so complicated. I will never understand it. Now listen, there are many buttons that exist on a camera, but there's only 3 main controls that actually make a damn difference to your photos. These ones, if you understand these ones, the rest is just fairy tale icing on the cake, okay? Behind this little mirror thing here, there is what's called a sensor. That's the actual thing that records the light, okay? Now the first control of a camera is controlling how sensitive that is to the light. Now to give you a demonstration of what this looks like, I'm going to just change the sensitivity, or ISO, which is it's officially called, on this camera right here, and you can see the difference. Okay, now I'm going to turn the ISO down, and you'll see it gets darker. I'm going to turn the ISO up, and you'll see that it gets brighter. That's all ISO does. Wow, amazing. The second control you want to understand is, again, take off the lens, what's called the shutter. The shutter is literally that little door that opens and closes every time you take a shot, okay? All right, and this control changes the speed of the shutter, as in how long the door stays open. It can stay open a long time, or it can stay open a very short time. Okay, now, exactly the same as changing the sensitivity or the ISO, the shutter changes how bright or dark your image is. Because the longer you leave that door open, the more time it allows light to come into it. Now, in addition to just changing the brightness, which is exactly the same as the other control, shutter speed changes how much time is captured in your photo. I'm going to go and change the shutter speed on this camera that's recording so that you can get an idea of what it looks like. Now, if you watch the motion of my hand, okay, that looks kind of normal. I'm going to turn up the shutter speed, which, as you know, makes the photo darker. But to compensate for this, I'm going to, because I know about ISO, I can increase the brightness again so that the picture's still viewable. Now with a fast shutter speed, you can capture very rapid motions, and you will see that, you know, my hand is very crisp and sharp no matter how fast I move it, right? Oppositely, if I use a very slow shutter speed, I'm going to turn the shutter speed and make it very slow. As you can see, it's letting in more light now. So again, I will compensate for that by making it less sensitive to the light. Now you'll notice with my hand, look at that, it is blurring it because it is allowing more time to be captured in every moment. So if you want to get a blurry, whoa, 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 I'm on drugs, you use a slow shutter speed. Can you see that? Now the third and final camera control, and after you know these 3, everything else is just like, don't worry about it. The third and final control is the aperture. Now the aperture is to do with your lens, okay? And the aperture is simply how open or closed the hole in your lens is. You can open it up or you can close it. Now exactly the same as the other 2 controls. The more open the lens is, what's going to happen? The more light's going to come in, equals your photo is going to be brighter. But now the reason why, of course, these 3 controls are not all the exact same control is because they do slightly different things in addition to making the overall photo brighter or darker. So the special effect with aperture is it controls how much of your photo is in focus, meaning clearly seen. I am going to open up the aperture now so that you can see that less becomes in focus. So I'm going to open it up. This again makes it brighter, of course. I'm going to compensate for that by adjusting either my shutter speed or my ISO. And you'll notice that now the camera is clearly in focus, but everything, including my hand and the background, is all soft and mushy. This is what happens when you use a wide open aperture. And oppositely, if I make the aperture very small, I'm going to make it very small right now. Of course, it makes the photo darker, and I'm going to compensate for that by adjusting either my shutter or my ISO. I'm going to bring back the light, and now look at it. You'll see that everything from the camera to the background is in focus. So you see here, friends, it's not all impossible to know. In fact, it's quite easy, which is going to help you become awesome.
Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.